I chased David for 5 years, and Thomas chased Emma for 5 years. Later, on New Year's Eve, I waited in vain for David at the cinema. He waited in vain for Emma at the amusement park. Yet we both simultaneously saw their official relationship announcement on social media. Finally, after discussing it, he said, "Why don't we pair up? We know each other inside out." I stayed silent for a moment, then nodded. "All right." Then we hurriedly tried on wedding dresses, picked a venue, selected an auspicious date, and wrote invitations, all to get married before they did. Later, when I was overwhelmed with choosing a venue, David knocked on my door. Outside, he gritted his teeth, his eyes slightly red as he asked me, "Are you serious? Are you really going to marry Thomas? Have you thought it through?" 01 On New Year's Eve, I was in the mall by the Central Street, watching the released hydrogen balloons and countless couples embracing each other outside. I clutched the movie ticket in my hand as snowflakes drifted down. I couldn't quite describe what I was feeling, just that after all these years of loving David, it still hadn't led to a happy ending. My phone buzzed, and I glanced at the screen. It was Thomas, David's younger brother. The chat message read, "She didn't come either." David, Thomas, and I grew up together. Later, I fell for David, while Thomas developed feelings for my roommate. I encouraged him to help me, and in return, I helped him. But what a shame. On this New Year's Eve, he didn't get to see Emma, and I didn't get to see David either. After slowly exhaling a turbid breath, I was just about to leave when Thomas called. The other end of the line was noisy, but his voice came through clearly, hoarse yet distinct. "Did you see my brother and her social media posts?" At that moment, a wave of foreboding surged in my chest. My hand holding the phone and my finger hovering over the screen hesitated to tap in. It felt as if everything would change the moment I did. In the end, I still tapped in. On New Year's Eve, many were flaunting their love and posting photos. I only had to scroll down slightly before I saw it. The moment I saw the photo, my confusion overshadowed my sadness. Because the photo they posted together was of them wearing school uniforms. In the photo, Thomas and Emma stood on the school playground, smiling and flashing peace signs at the camera. Both were grinning broadly, yet David and I rarely smiled like that in our pictures. Emma also refused to take photos with Thomas. Emma was my high school classmate. During a period when she was at odds with her family, I moved into the dormitory. I refused to go home too. My parents had no choice but to ask David and Thomas to bring me things. Back and forth, Emma became familiar with them. But when did the two of them come to understand each other's feelings? Thomas and I were like fools, moths drawn to a flame. I couldn't speak for a long time, as if something was stuck in my throat, making me unbearably uncomfortable. Thomas's call hadn't ended yet, and he remained silent too. Finally, he said, "Are you still at the cinema?" Hearing this, I replied with a quiet, "Then wait for me there. I'll buy new tickets and we can watch it together." "Okay," I answered. It was all a bit humiliating, but at least having him by my side to share in the embarrassment made it a little easier to bear. While waiting for Thomas to arrive, I didn't try to recall any subtle clues between them before. My mind was completely blank. I didn't cry either, only feeling that everything had happened too quickly. After what felt like an eternity, my legs had gone numb from squatting when I finally saw Thomas appear by the escalator. He'd dyed his hair red a few days prior, saying it symbolized a prosperous new year and that the red hair also heralded good fortune coming his way. I'd originally wanted to dye mine red too, but since he beat me to it, I went for a milk tea brown instead. When he saw me, he quickened his pace and walked over. I waved my hand at him. "Help me up, my legs are a bit numb." Thomas reached out to pull me up, stared at my face, and laughed. "Not bad, you didn't cry." I pounded my numb legs with my hands. The sensation was oddly satisfying. "You too," I said. He waved dismissively. "Let's go, it's about time." We both tacitly avoided bringing it up again. After the movie, he walked me home. It wasn't until after I'd washed up that I saw Emma's message. Laura, David and I are together now. You're not mad, are you? I closed my eyes, feeling irritated as I lay on the bed, and replied expressionlessly.
No.
Who she dates is her business, even if it's David. But I considered her a friend. I'd happily and excitedly shared every moment of my teenage crush on David with her. But she never said a word to me, and after all these years of me chasing David, they ended up together. Grief and anger nearly filled my chest. I wasn't angry because she was the one who ended up with David. I was angry because she never told me she liked him too. What was she thinking all those times I shared my pursuit of David with her? Was she secretly laughing at me for overestimating myself? This suddenly made me feel that this person was both unfamiliar and terrifying. The moment I sent it, she seemed to have anticipated I would say this. I'm sorry, Laura. I'm so glad you're not mad at me. It's not that I didn't want to tell you. I just didn't know how to bring it up. Her message was a bit long, so I exited the chat and removed her from the pin list. Finally, she asked, Laura, shall we go to that barbecue place on Central Street tomorrow? I knew this was her testing the waters, checking if I was really angry. But I had already decided not to be friends with her anymore. Whether I was angry or not, what she thought, none of it mattered. No, I'm a bit tired today. I'm going to bed. After a while, she didn't reply, but David sent a message instead. I was the one who pursued Emma, and I liked her first. Jiang Yuan, I hope you won't blame her or direct your anger at her. How should I put it? Back then, I really liked David, so much that my heart was overflowing with affection for him. But now, it's as if overnight, I suddenly feel a bit disgusted. Nauseous. How could their feelings for each other have been sudden, their relationship abrupt? But they looked at me and Thomas as if we were clowns, enjoying our kindness towards them, then turned around and said, Thank you for liking me, but I don't like you back. I can accept any outcome, but I can't accept that the person I've loved for so many years turned out to be such a rotten individual. In the end, I didn't reply. I just screenshotted these 2 messages and sent them to Thomas with a caption. Got any? After a while, Thomas sent me his too. It was from Emma. The gist of it was thanking him for his affection over the years. Thomas said, Tell me, in all these 5 years, how come she never mentioned she liked my brother? Laura, we're not that pathetic, are we? Knowing they liked each other and still clinging to them. I've pursued her for 5 years. But my affection spans far longer than that.
I said.
It's my bad luck to have met them. But I don't want to see them again in the future, though I'll probably run into them tomorrow. And when I do,
sigh.
I'll have to say it's fine, no problem at all. It feels so fake, but they won't be happy unless they hear it. Only then can they rest easy. As I typed away, a wave of irritation washed over me. I wanted to just delete and block them right then. Same here. What's worse is my brother just knocked on my door, asking if I was asleep. I didn't answer. Just thinking about it exhausts me. The sadness isn't too bad. After chasing her for so many years, I've come to terms with it. What really gets me is how painful it is. Why did it have to be the 2 of them? How could they do this to us? Suddenly, an idea popped into my head. The next second, Thomas's call came through. We've both been restless and imaginative since childhood, often coming up with similar wild ideas. You know what?
You say.
I pouted my lips. You say. Ahem. Thomas cleared his throat. Let's pair up. You know me inside out. I paused for a second. Even though I knew he couldn't see me, I still nodded and said, All right. Then I added, We should get married before they do. Don't worry, leave it to me. I never knew Thomas could work so efficiently. Last night, I couldn't squeeze out a single tear to mourn the years I'd wasted, wallowing in emo thoughts. Had my feelings for David really faded away during those hopeless years? Then this morning, really early, my mom came knocking on my door like she was trying to summon the dead, each knock louder than the last. Mom, what are you doing so early in the... I opened the door with my hair disheveled, my complaint unfinished, as my mother suddenly covered my mouth. Sweetheart, you. Hurry up and wash up, then come downstairs. Quick, quick. Still groggy, I struggled to open my eyes. What's going on? Your boyfriend is here to propose marriage, my mom whispered excitedly in my ear. She used to constantly nag me about dating and getting married, even trying to set me up on blind dates. But seeing Thomas come to propose today must have genuinely made her happy.
Ah.
Those words jolted me wide awake. No way. Then I walked over and looked down at the first floor, filled with familiar faces and gold shimmering under the crystal chandelier's glow. I rushed through washing up, doing my makeup, and changing clothes before heading downstairs. Downstairs, Auntie Jiang saw me coming down and waved gently with a warm smile. Laura, come have breakfast first. Your uncle and I brought these back from the tea house. Then she turned to my mother with an apologetic smile. Xiu, we came over so suddenly today. We must have startled you. Oh, what are you saying? We've watched these two grow up together. If they want to make our families even closer, I couldn't be happier. Yes, we know each other's families well. There's no need for so many formalities. My dad chimed in. Thomas was dressed in a very formal suit today, his hair slicked back, sitting upright. You're way too fast. I sat down beside him and picked up a shrimp dumpling to take a bite. He whispered, I just thought, since my brother isn't home, if I brought him to your place to propose, I was afraid you'd feel uncomfortable. Hearing this, I merely raised an eyebrow and said nothing. The elders from both families were enthusiastically discussing wedding arrangements nearby. I think the 5th day of the Lunar New Year is a great date, auspicious for weddings. Yes, a very lucky day indeed. Good, it's settled then. Thomas and I were stunned, exchanging glances. Why are they more anxious than us? Thomas leaned in and whispered, both sides are probably afraid we'll run away. Suddenly it made sense. My mom often nagged in my ear. Why are you young people nowadays so reluctant to get married? During this time, Thomas and I were busy trying on wedding dresses, selecting venues, and writing invitations. David and Emma went on a trip to the neighboring city together, posting daily updates on social media, looking utterly blissful. While waiting for Thomas to change into his suit, I gazed at the sea behind them, momentarily lost in thought. Actually, the plan to go to the neighboring city with Thomas had been made long ago, something I had mentioned to Emma. Lincheng is a coastal city. When I came across the blogger's video online, I immediately sent it to her. Back then, I had intended to go with him on my birthday. But then Emma sprained her ankle a few days prior, and I went to take care of her, so the plan was postponed. I never imagined it would end up being the two of them going together. What are you looking at? Thomas emerged wearing a black suit, a faint smile on his face. I didn't hide it from him and turned the phone screen toward him. As he looked up while fastening his buttons, I said, "Let me help you." After buttoning up, he finished reading and put his phone away, asking me, "Want to go?" I shook my head, then nodded. Although Thomas and David are twins, after looking at them for a while, it's still easy to tell them apart. David is the type who can't be bothered with others, always aloof and impatient. Meanwhile, Thomas has eyes just like our aunt's, curved and sparkling when he smiles, radiant and handsome, with a sunny and emotionally stable personality. It's not because they're going that I want to go. I've wanted to go for a long time myself, I said with a determined look. Hearing this, Thomas nudged me toward the mirror. All right, I know. In the full-length mirror, we looked like a perfect match, a pair made for each other. The saleswoman standing nearby chimed in at just the right moment. The young lady and gentleman make such a handsome couple. How about this set? Do you like it? He slightly lowered his head to ask me. I thought for a moment, feeling a bit conflicted, and pursed my lips before saying, I just feel it's not quite stunning enough. I gestured with my fingers. It's missing just a little something. Thomas couldn't help but laugh as he looked at me, his eyes filled with starlight under the crystal chandelier. Sir, miss, are any of these wedding dresses and suits to your liking? The shop owner approached us and, noticing our hesitation, carefully suggested. Actually, we'll have several wedding dresses arriving from abroad in a few days. Would you and your husband be willing to wait until then? I guarantee these dresses are absolutely exquisite. We have the designer's images here, and we can also explain the designer's concept to you and your husband. Over here, is this okay? I asked Thomas with an inquiring look, and he nodded. I smiled and said, perfect. 04 A few days later, when the wedding dress arrived, the shop owner called us to come for a fitting. Thomas had some urgent business at work, so I told him not to pick me up. I could go to the bridal shop myself. Just as I was about to leave, I saw Emma walking toward me, her face glowing with excitement, carrying a bag in her hand. Noticing I was heading out, she casually asked, Laura, are you going somewhere? I didn't answer her, and instead asked what she was here for. She smiled and handed me the bag she was holding. Here, I brought you some local specialties. Laura, Lincheng is just like in the videos you sent me. The sea stretches as far as the eye can see. It's so photogenic. By the way, why haven't you liked any of my posts on Moments? She excitedly shared her impressions of Lincheng with me, and at that moment, I looked at this person who had known me for so many years. We're standing so close right now, yet I feel like I've never truly known her. Suddenly, she stopped mid-sentence when her eyes caught sight of the diamond ring on my middle finger. Her expression turned slightly odd as she looked at me strangely. Laura, you can't wear a ring on your middle finger. Take it off, quick. And when did you buy this diamond ring? It's really beautiful. I glanced at the 10-carat diamond ring on my finger. Thomas had bought it for me. He said our marriage was too rushed to have an engagement, but we still needed some sense of ceremony, so he insisted on taking me to buy a ring. Not to mention, as the shop assistant tried rings from 1 carat up to 10 carats, the bigger the diamond, the more stunning it looked. I know, I said indifferently. But how did you? She opened her mouth, but I cut her off with a hollow smile and said, I'm getting married.
Huh?
When she heard me say this, her expression froze, and the words slipped out. How could it be so fast? Have you already moved on from David? When she realized what she'd said, her face suddenly turned pale as she looked at me cautiously. My heart remained unperturbed, only regretting my poor judgment of character. She herself believed I couldn't possibly have forgotten David in such a short time, yet she insisted on reminiscing about their happy moments in Lincheng right beside me. She reached out to link arms with me, shaking my hand coquettishly. Oh, don't be mad, Laura. Didn't you say, if you ever got married, you'd definitely invite me to be your bridesmaid? I haven't even met the groom yet. Her words between the lines clearly meant she wanted me to take her to meet my fiancé. In reality, there exists this kind of person who covets everything that belongs to others, who relishes the sense of superiority and victory when snatching things away from people. I didn't care whether Emma truly loved David, but I was quite curious to know if she'd ever had feelings for that foolish boy Thomas, the one who'd driven dozens of kilometers from school to take her home countless times, just because she asked. I smiled gently. Of course. Really? Then let's go. Due to Emma's delay, Thomas arrived at the bridal shop before me. The moment Emma saw Thomas appear in the bridal shop, the radiant smile on her face vanished completely. She couldn't believe her eyes. With a twitch at the corner of her mouth, she asked me why Thomas was here. In her widened pupils, I slowly stepped forward and linked arms with Thomas. The meaning was obvious. Thomas glanced down at me helplessly, then cooperatively said to Emma, We're getting married on the 5th of next month. You're welcome to come. How is this possible? Emma shook her head in disbelief. Staring at Thomas's expressionless face, she couldn't get the words out.
You.
What
did she want to say?
Didn't you like me very much before? Is that so? I asked her with innocent eyes. Emma, why can't it be? If she could get together with David overnight, why can't we? Just as the atmosphere fell into silence, Emma's phone rang. As if waking from a dream, she fumbled for her phone in her bag. While she took the call, I had already settled onto the sofa, where the shop assistant was displaying the newly arrived wedding dresses one by one before me. I stabbed a piece of fruit from the platter and stuffed it into my mouth, pointing at her pale face as I said to Thomas, "See, she knows herself that this isn't right." There's no such thing as true empathy in this world. Hey, do you think she might actually like you too? Thomas glared at me upon hearing this. No. He looked at the 5 wedding dresses in front of him, shook his head with a sigh, and then asked me, "Do you fancy any of these?" Only when he mentioned it did I remember to look up. At first glance, I fell in love with the one in the very center, the wedding dress completely studded with tiny diamonds, its design overflowing with romance and elegance. Under the light, the diamond's refraction evoked thoughts of the dazzling brilliance of a starry sea. Thomas noticed me staring at the dress, unable to tear my eyes away, and waved his hand in front of my face. "Go try it on." Marriage might not be every girl's dream, but a wedding dress certainly is. Emma's voice drifted in intermittently from outside, with Thomas occasionally responding. Just as I was about to step out, Emma asked him sadly, "Thomas, you never treated me like this before. Why are you so cold to me now? Please don't be like this. Even if we can't be lovers, can't we at least be friends?" I stopped the shop assistant from drawing back the curtain. Listening carefully, I certainly didn't want to be the only one left at next month's wedding. "You're really something. Am I supposed to fuss over my brother's girlfriend? Even as a friend, it's inappropriate, completely inappropriate. I'm about to get married, after all." "You..." I shot a glance at the shop assistant, and she yanked the curtain open. The conversation outside fell silent the moment I appeared. When I saw the look of awe in their eyes, both theirs and David's, who had rushed in from outside, I was completely satisfied. It's worth every penny if it leaves others in awe. I was admiring myself with satisfaction when Thomas leaned in and whispered to me, "Why do you think these two suddenly showed up?" "Take a few photos, take a few. We look so handsome and beautiful in this mirror," Thomas bragged beside me. I was just about to take the phone to snap some pictures. David, finally snapping out of it, suddenly spoke up. "You're getting married? How come I didn't know?" After saying this, his furrowed brows suddenly relaxed and his tone softened. "Thomas, Laura might be naive, but you should know better. How could you not even mention marriage to your parents before making such a big decision? What will people say if this gets out? Stop acting like children." Emma, who had been looking displeased, seemed to find this reasoning convincing, and her expression improved slightly. The fact that David, Thomas's own brother, didn't know about our marriage plans only proved that this was all our own little charade. "Brother, just call Mom and Dad and ask." Thomas didn't argue with him, just stared at him steadily. Seeing our calm expressions, he turned to me with pale lips and asked, "Is it true?"
"Yes."
He still didn't believe it, so he called his uncle and aunt right in front of us. The result was that we were getting married. Under the dazzling lights, the 4 of us stood on opposite sides, no one speaking. David looked at me with confusion in his eyes, and as I stood behind Thomas, our gazes met in that moment. Suddenly, I didn't understand. If he didn't like me, why did his face turn pale when he heard I was getting married? I instinctively clenched Thomas's sleeve, and sensing this, he turned to pat me reassuringly. "Can you all leave now?" As the words fell, they stared stiffly at each other, and Emma forced a difficult smile. "Laura, didn't you promise I could be your bridesmaid?" In the verdant years of youth, Emma, whose smile always carried a hint of shyness, has now transformed into someone with meticulously applied makeup. But back then, Emma grabbed my hand, her eyes brimming with sincerity, and said, "No matter which of us gets married first, we'll be each other's bridesmaids, watching over and accompanying each other toward happiness." Now, Emma, are you still the girl who said you wanted to see me walk toward happiness? No, you're not. Whether it's because memories of the past surfaced or the realization that childhood friends don't always remain friends in adulthood, I don't know. My heart ached with bitterness and melancholy. Softly, I uttered these words. "No more." In that dazed moment, it felt like I was saying goodbye to the companion in my memories. Emma's face instantly turned pale, and she staggered a few steps.
Laura.
I don't know how much sincerity was in the way she called my name, but it doesn't matter anymore. 04, getting closer to the wedding dress, we stepped out after finalizing the venue. Thomas held my hand to warm it as we looked up at the sky. It started snowing again. Snowflakes landed on our heads, turning our dark hair white. I smiled and raised my head, and he obediently lowered his. I said, "Doesn't this look like growing old together?" "Absolutely," he replied. Then he urged me, "This is so poetic. Let's take a photo to remember it." Later, while organizing my things, I found a group photo tucked away in a corner. It was a picture of us from the school sports day. Sitting on the bed, I wiped the dust off it with a tissue. Finally caught the moment when David and Emma accidentally locked eyes. I recalled how she later said she had actually wanted me to bite the metal, but never expected that shot to be taken. With both sets of parents helping out, the wedding preparations were nearly complete. When I saw Emma again at my coffee shop, she wore a brown coat with curled hair, looking every bit the elegant, intellectual woman. Seeing me approach, she showed no sign of stopping. Then she called out, "Laura, I regret it." Her eyes slightly red, she looked at me, but I remained silent. She gritted her teeth and continued, "Laura, Thomas doesn't love you. If you marry him, you won't be happy." "So what?" I curled my lips in mockery. "Give him back to you? Weren't you with David?" I never heard Thomas mention they had broken up. Stunned by my rapid-fire questions, she averted her gaze. But she stubbornly pressed on, asking me, "Has Thomas ever driven dozens of kilometers just to take you home? Has he ever made you brown sugar water? Has he ever rushed out late at night to buy you spicy hot pot just because you craved it? Has he ever fought for you? Has he ever told you he likes you? I'm doing all this for your own good. I don't want you to gamble with your happiness just to spite me." How truly heartfelt those words were, talking about being my friend. Every line reeks of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. I scoffed. "What, trying to keep a foot in both boats?" "I'm not." She firmly denied having such intentions. Calmly and without anger, I told her, "First, my home is right here in North City. I don't need him driving dozens of kilometers to take me home. Second, everything you're about to say next will eventually happen to me too, except for the fighting. Also, Emma, you can recount so clearly all the things he did for you, and you know exactly how good he was to you. But you chose David," I said. "You just don't want me to be happy. You don't even like David that much. You're only with him because I liked him. You revel in that sense of superiority, that feeling of victory. Did you know? I came across an old photo of us together." I told her word by word, "I truly regret ever knowing you, ever being your friend. Let's not contact each other anymore." At this hour, the shop wasn't very crowded. After I took a few steps, Emma burst into almost hysterical laughter behind me. "Laura, just admit it, you're jealous of me. You're jealous that Thomas liked me, that even David, whom you love to death, is head over heels for me. You get nothing." Just then, a waiter happened to bring over an iced Americano. I picked it up and splashed it at her.
Ah.
She let out a piercing scream. "Are you sober now?" I took a tissue to wipe my hands and smiled apologetically at the waiter.
Sorry about that.
"It's fine, the boss did well." With that, she ran back inside. "Laura, how dare you treat me like this?" Emma looked utterly disheveled now, her delicate features twisted with rage. "Bark again, and the next cup will be hot." I smiled and walked inside. During lunch, I told Thomas about what happened that morning. His face was gloomy, his tone impatient. "Tell me, are they sick?"
Seriously sick.
At the company, Emma is so idle she's practically haunting me, pretending to bump into me all the time. And at home, my brother always glares at me, asking why we got married if we don't even like each other. I've been living peacefully these past few days, unaware that so much was happening to him. Why didn't you tell me? Oh dear, oh dear. He scratched his head with a pitiful expression. I just noticed you've been coming home and collapsing into bed every day while preparing for the wedding. I didn't want to bother you with these two ridiculous incidents. Just as I thought, some people always prefer food from other pots and wildflowers, never satisfied with what's clean and proper. Propping my chin in my hand, I watched his miserable expression and asked, So, you really have no feelings left for Emma now? 5 years, you know. Suddenly, his expression darkened. Laura, I'm warning you. If you dare leave me alone at the wedding, you're dead. Oh dear, mister. Impatience, I said. I'm just asking you. How could I possibly expect someone to like me in just 1 month when I couldn't even get a single glance from them in 5 years? Then isn't that just nonsense? He pursed his lips. What were you thinking? I can't make sense of it, or maybe. You talking to God is faith. God talking to you. He suddenly blurted out, leaving me utterly bewildered. He laughed. Your brain must be fried. Huh? I asked. Is this some new meme, or what? I'll take you gaming tonight. You play Zhongliang. Well. I eyed him sideways. That day, I had been hanging out with old friends until midnight and had a bit too much to drink, leaving me slightly tipsy. Lying sprawled on the sofa, I dreamed that someone was frantically pressing the doorbell outside my house, as if trying to summon the dead. Suddenly, my consciousness returned, and I slowly opened my eyes. The doorbell outside was ringing clearly.
Huh?
So it wasn't a dream. I stood up, swaying unsteadily, and leaned against the wall as I staggered forward. The moment I opened the door, there stood the unlucky David. Mom told me marriage is a joyous occasion, and since it's a happy event, we shouldn't let any bad luck taint it. I frowned and was about to close the door when David grabbed my arm. His eyes were red as he gritted his teeth and asked, Laura, are you serious? Do you really want to marry Thomas? Have you thought this through? He loves Emma. You two won't be happy together, he said with a pained expression. Laura, I don't want you to ruin your own happiness just to get back at me in a moment of anger. Hearing this, I narrowed my eyes, swallowed the nausea rising in my throat, and spoke each word clearly. I am serious. I want to marry Thomas, and I've thought it through very carefully. Thomas treats me well. You never wanted to accompany me for photo shoots. You always ruined the mood when we went out, and you constantly blamed me for choosing bad locations. He always stood up for me against you. He's willing to go on photo shoots with me, and he never loses patience with me. I can too, he suddenly said to me with great urgency. I don't know what state of mind David was in when he said this. He continued, Laura, I regret it. Before, I didn't recognize my own heart. Later, when I heard you were going to marry Thomas, it really hurt here. I was so scared. I never imagined what a future without you would be like. Ugh. I finally couldn't hold it in and vomited, the vomit covering him entirely. Ugh. So disgusting. Ugh. His words came to an abrupt halt, his face ashen with discomfort. Oh, bro, sorry about that. Thomas had appeared at some point, a somewhat gleeful smirk playing on his lips. You really shouldn't be visiting your future sister-in-law in the middle of the night. If others misunderstand, aren't you just causing trouble for Laura? David widened his eyes in disbelief, the words he wanted to say locked outside by Thomas. In the bathroom, he gently wiped my mouth and the vomit off my body with a towel, his gaze soft. I clutched his clothes and murmured, When did you get here? How much did you see and hear? He chuckled, his chest vibrating slightly. I happened to arrive just as you opened the door. Oh. Under the bright bathroom light, he suddenly asked, When exactly were you referring to earlier? My mind was a bit muddled. What? The one about taking photos. Oh, most of the time. Isn't it always us who find places when we go out? They're never happy. I want to take photos. The scenery is so beautiful, but they say they're too tired, complain about the terrible places I pick. Boo-hoo, if you're that tired, then don't go out. Stay home and sleep, or sit in a cafe drinking coffee. Why agree to go out if you're not going to do anything? Thomas gently stroked my face, as if to comfort me. Don't cry, don't cry. Suddenly, I looked up to see the man's tender expression, and I motioned for him to lower his head. He smiled and leaned his ear toward my mouth. I said pitifully, "Actually, there were so many times I didn't want to like David anymore, but I kept remembering how he once rode a broken bicycle to buy me a new dress, and I thought, just hold on a little longer." Thomas silently patted my back as I continued. Another reason is, it was me who suggested we pursue both of them together. Seeing how hard you're still trying with Emma, I didn't want to dampen your enthusiasm. Hearing this, he laughed in exasperation. First time I've heard of chasing someone being about loyalty. Little drunkard, talking nonsense. He manually muted me, then went to fetch my clothes. Can you wash yourself? I nodded vigorously.
Yes.
Then nearly toppled headfirst into the bathtub from dizziness. Thomas quickly grabbed me in alarm. Whoa there, where are you falling? Then, gritting his teeth, he muttered under his breath. Forget it, I'll see it sooner or later anyway. Hands, keep your hands to yourself. No, you pervert, I want to touch you back. I'm not, I'm your future husband. Who's the husband?
Thomas.
And the wife? Laura. 06. On our wedding day, both Thomas and I were terrified the other might run away, so we made each other hold a video call on our phones. When the ceremony began, my father led me step by step toward Thomas, then placed my hand in his. The man's palm was broad and warm. Through my veil, I saw his face brimming with so much joy it nearly overflowed. David and Emma had some points that were right. Thomas and I got together in the beginning just to pair up, to make all those years we'd invested seem less pathetic. But later, we genuinely wanted to make it work. We could provide each other with enough emotional support. When hiking, we wouldn't argue over whose idea it was, but would instead admire the scenery along the way, take photos together, and reach the summit side by side. In the end, Thomas and Emma didn't stay together and both ended up cheating. It's unclear whether Thomas started seeing his company's secretary first, or if it was after Emma went on a trip with her college senior and stayed in the same hotel room. The cheating partners kept changing. Both eventually gathered evidence of the other's infidelity. Their breakup was messy and public, even making local news headlines. The scandal was so infuriating and humiliating that even Thomas's parents were too ashamed to show their faces in public. When I returned home one day, Thomas had cooked a meal for me. I watched his busy figure moving around in the kitchen. I couldn't help but step forward and hug him. He smiled and asked, "What's this about?" I pressed my face against his back and mumbled, "Only now do I realize how hard it truly is. To be loyal to your loved one, to love with patience, and in the end, to act with conscience." "Laura, are you having an affair?" He turned around nervously, still holding the kitchen knife. I opened my mouth in disbelief. "Are you out of your mind?" "You scared me to death." He pretended to sigh in relief. I said, "If we had ended up with them back then, would we have been cheated on too?" Change the first 5 words to definitely. He didn't even want to mention his brother anymore. He's already driven our parents to despair. The company's shareholders have held several meetings to vote him out as vice president. Even Dad can't protect him this time. Thankfully, I chose to start my own business back then. Otherwise, I'd be furious too. The stock price has hit the limit down. People who aren't serious about relationships won't change their ways no matter who they're with. I watched Thomas making my favorite soy sauce chicken and swallowed hard. Last year, we went to Lincheng together. Although Lincheng is a coastal city known for its seafood. But once I got there, I fell hopelessly in love with their white-cut chicken, scallion oil chicken, soy sauce chicken, salt-baked chicken, hand-shredded chicken. Among all, I particularly love soy sauce chicken, where the rich, savory flavor permeates every part of the meat, making it tender and smooth. One bite, and it's unforgettable forever. "Thank you, hubby," I said, standing on tiptoe to plant a kiss on his cheek. He froze for a moment, then pointed to his lips and said, "They say they want one too." With a bold wave of my hand, I declared, "You'll get kisses all over."